A leader is someone who takes people from where they are to where they want to be, or rather, to where they've never been before. Okay, so that's the leader. He takes people from where they are to where they've never been before, from point A to point B. There's a saying in Italian, very famous saying, which is a very versatile one, which goes something like this: tell me what you do, and I'll tell you who you are. Now, this can be varied in many ways. For example, tell me what you eat, and I'll tell you who you are. Tell me who you go with, and I'll tell you what you are. Tell me what you like, and I'll tell you who you are, etc., etc., etc. So you can use it in many ways. In personal growth, we can say it this way: tell me where you're going, and I'll tell you who you are. In other words, what we're talking about here is direction. What is the direction that you've decided to take for your life or for your career, whatever that is? Because it's true. Because whether we are aware or not of the choices that we make them upon our values, what is important for us. For example, tell me where you go on vacation, and I'll tell you who you are. Very simple. Where do you like to go on your vacations? At the beach, up in the mountains, going abroad, visiting new cities, monuments, history, whatever. And I'll tell you who you are at this stage of your life. We change in life, of course. Many people that used to go to the beach all the time, at a certain age, they say, nah, I'd rather go up to the mountains. It's easier, there's not that many people. Life is much more calm, much more smooth. It's better for me, for my age. For example, if the direction that you take in your personal, professional, social, whatever life, okay, so whatever direction you take from that point of view, will tell me a lot of who you are today, because we change, we have to. If you're still pursuing, after 30 years, you still pursue the same things that you pursued 30 years ago, you haven't done much growing. You haven't developed much, because the way of seeing life is just always the same. Okay? So you have all these people that are forever young. They want to still do all the things they used to do when they were 20 or 25, which makes them ridiculous, actually. But the fact is, they haven't grown. I mean, what have they lived for if the things they give value to are still the same? There are very fundamental values that won't change. That, yes, of course. For example, honesty. It's not that after 30 years, honesty is no longer important. But perhaps it is not your priority as it was 30 years ago. Okay, honesty is still very important for you, but for example, health could be more important than honesty. No, who cares? If they have to live, I'm going to steal if necessary. That doesn't mean he's right, but these are his values. So now, how do we take a direction in our lives? Very simple. Through goals. Goals are the means, or they are the milestones along the way that goes to the place where you want to be. So you set milestones, you set goals, and that's very important. Why? Because direction is a very, very abstract thing. It's something you can't touch. You can just imagine. It's a vision. Okay, vision and direction are very much related. If you want to go somewhere, you have to have a clear vision of where you want to end up. If you don't have that vision, you don't have a direction. Now, what this means is that I must do something that along the way, along the road, will take me to that place. So goals are not really important. We give so much importance to goals. But goals are just a means to an end. The end is, how do you want to feel as a person? What gives value to your life? That is the real thing. And to reach that, you need to reach goals. You have to set your goals. which can be material goals, emotional goals, mental goals, spiritual goals. Now, no matter what they are, you're going to have to work for them, for sure. Now, you can also have the same goal, for example, all throughout your life, but your direction changes. Now, that is what matters. For example, I said that goals are a means, right, to an end. So let's say that when you were young, when you were, say, 20 or 25, you wanted to be rich. You wanted to be successful. You want to be a person that has achieved many things, and so that people can look up to and strengthen their leadership. Okay, so you want to make money. That's your goal. What's the purpose? What I just said. To be successful, to be recognized, to be popular, the whole thing. When you are 50 or 60, you still want to make money, but for different reasons, for different goals, for different motivations. No longer to be successful. I'm already successful. I don't need more money. I have all the money I want. But I want to do something for others. I want to be there for others, to take advantage of the experience that I made in my life, the things that I achieved, and help people do the same. So with that money, I want to raise funds for this and create a foundation, for example, or an association that can work efficiently because it has it has people working in it. So I can fund that if I make more money. And at the same time, it's not just for me. I can even go, work on the side, work behind the curtains. I don't care anymore. I've had all the popularity I could wish for. So now it's time to shed the light on other people. So you see, same goals, but the direction is totally different. One was inspired by egoism, a healthy egoism, and the other one is inspired by altruism. So opposite, and still the same goal. I remember I once read the definition that Harry Kissinger, who recently died, had given of what a leader is, and roughly said, this is what it says: a leader is someone who takes people from where they are to where they want to be, or rather, to where they've never been before. Okay, so that's the leader. He takes people from where they are to where they've never been before, from point A to point B. See, if you want to give a direction, you must know what your point A is and what point B is. What is point A and what point B is supposed to be. Now, we're not just talking about physical things here, not material things. You have to develop, perhaps point B is where people have never been before, is a place where they can feel secure, where they can feel passion, where they can feel love. That is point B. It's not necessarily related to a material goal. And still people are obsessed with material goals. That's all there is to it. I mean, you take a family, for example. It's not just about the material goal. A family, as long as it has enough to live comfortably, it doesn't mean they cannot have more. Of course, if they can afford it, they can have more. But once they have what's really necessary for their well-being, a family will want to advance from an emotional point of view, on connection with each other, in discipline, for example, with your children, in mutual respect with your spouse. Perhaps there wasn't any respect, or there wasn't enough love because there wasn't enough connection. So a person wants to work on that. That's my point B. And if I'm a leader, I must at least know in my head and have clear in my head what that point B is, even though I myself have not reached that point. Like a leader with a company, and they say, okay, we want to increase our income by 10%. He hasn't been there already, but he knows what it looks like, and he knows how to get there. That's where he takes people from point A to point B. And the same thing with your family, with your involvement in society, in whichever form or shape that you decide. But that is what a leader is. Now, here's the problem. If you want to go from point A to point B, what point B is like is a relatively easy task. Okay, so you have a goal out there, and you have to reach a sequence of goals before you get there. So you have point A, point B, point C, point D, whatever. So at that point, wherever you're from point A, you need to go to point B, and you must know what point B is, what it's like. Otherwise, you wouldn't know where you're going. What is the problem? We don't know what point A is in most cases. As a coach, before I tell, people come up to me and they say, I would like to improve my profession. I would like to make more money. I would like to, all sorts of things. They have clear what point B is or what point Z is before, and all the various points they have to reach before they get there. But they don't know what point A is. And of course, I don't know. If they don't know, I cannot know. So the first thing that we do is find out what point A is before anything else. Because reaching a goal is not a problem. But not knowing where you're starting from in order to get there, that can be a problem. It makes no sense where you have coaches that promote themselves, telling people, making promises. Oh, I can, raise your income 10x or 3x or 30x, whatever. Or I can make you do this, I can make you do that. They cannot say that. For me, they are frauding people. Why? Because they cannot know what his point is. Perhaps he can, because he made it when one person that he was able to decuplicate his income. So he says, I can do that for you. No, you did it for that person. You don't know the other persons, where they start from. Perhaps the person that has success and decuplicated its income is because he was just a yard away from the finishing line. You don't know where other people are. So you cannot make that promise. And if you make the promise, it's a fraud, as far as I'm concerned. No matter how good he is, it doesn't depend on the coach. Perhaps he does have that capacity. I'm not saying he doesn't have that capacity, but he cannot make the promise to someone else, because ultimately it's the coachee who has to get there, not him. Right? Isn't that how it works? So that's the deal. If you want to know more about this test that I successfully, just to know how it works, okay? There's no forcing you into doing something or selling you something, promoting you something. No, none of that stuff. If you're interested to know how this system that I made up works, just call me. Just go to my site, which you see here on the screen, and contact me for an appointment. Okay, so that we can meet. Explain you how it works. You can have an idea of where you are right now, where your point A is right now in your life. See you soon.